Hello, Amanda of AmandaCreekCreative.com here. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to come up with your brand words for your brand, how to go about figuring out which ones you'd like and narrowing it down from maybe a larger list. Also, why this is important to do and how it will help you to have clarity in your branding. So let's dive in. Maybe now you're wondering why you should do this activity. Maybe you're wondering if it's really worth the time. And I'm here to tell you that not only is this actually a fun activity, but it also helps you a lot when it comes to your visual branding. The reason why I feel like it's so important is because it gives you a lot of clarity in different things. So it gives you clarity in how you want the customer experience to go. The whole concept of branding, what it means is that you're trying to evoke this feeling during the experience. And branding really isn't formed by you necessarily, it's formed by the customers and how they feel when they encounter your brand. And so you can direct where that branding, where the messaging goes, and you can try to evoke those feelings from people, but you have to understand what it is that they want, and you have to also understand what you want. And when you're coming up with brand words, it'll help you to actually hone in on those things and really understand what it is that you want the overall experience to be. So it gives you that clarity that you need to really get into the nitty-gritty of what it is that you want people to experience. The other reason I feel like it's really important is that it takes some of the decision making away from you. You come up with these words, you make a list for yourself, and then when you go to take a picture for Instagram, for instance, you don't have to say, I don't know what to do. You actually can draw on these words and start to come up with things and start to build yourself a library of photographs, or you can use the words to come up with ideas for your website, or you can use the words to come up with ideas for how you want to write, how you want the words to come up off the page, and how you want to grab the attention of the person who's reading. So when you have these specific words in mind and you have a list that you're drawing from constantly, not only will your branding be consistent, but also you don't have to worry about making those decisions time and time again. It'll also help you with the direction for your business, and I'll get into that more later, but it'll help you to move along and really get those ideas of what you want the feeling to be from the beginning and start to build upon that as you go on in your business. Another important reason that I feel like you should do this activity is that it'll help you to start differentiating yourself from similar brands. So when you're coming up with these words, you might be, let's say, a bakery, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of bakeries all across the United States, across the world, and you want to be different. And so when you're starting to combine these words together, you can come up with something that's a little bit unique, that is not exactly the same as a bakery down the street. So it'll give you that extra little bit that'll differentiate you from those who are in your niche. The other thing that I love about doing this is that it's really fun and creative, at least the way I do it. Maybe not how everybody does it, but I like to do it in a really fun, creative way, and this will allow you to do that. So I want to break this down just a little bit more and give you some examples. So let's start with Coca-Cola. Because Coca-Cola is one of the most recognized brands in the world, I felt like this would be a good starting point for us when we're talking about these brand words and how it works, and I felt that this would be a good example for other reasons. One being that I use it actually in my brand personality challenge, which if you're interested in taking the challenge, you can do so by signing up in the link below. And I am going to talk to you about this brand because it's really easy for us to draw upon. We can think about it and not have to really think too much We don't have to necessarily go to the website or anything like that, but you get bonus points, I guess, if you go to the website and you look it up and you kind of try to delve a little bit deeper into it. But looking at the book Brand Seduction and taking from this example that Daryl Weber talks about, he talks about the words that are used over and over again to create this branding for Coca-Cola. And he talks about how the main thing that the advertising people in Coca-Cola that they draw upon is that feeling of happiness. That's like the number one thing. And when he talks about it, you can immediately think, yeah, okay, I see where he's going. Happiness. I remember commercials that are really happy and that make me feel happy when I think about Coca-Cola. And then when you think about the word nostalgia, that's another word that he brings up. And of course, if you look at his quote in the book, he says it brings up memories of growing up with it and drinking it with your family. And I think about the holidays and when Coca-Cola, they do the commercials that have Santa Claus on the side of the semis. I always think about that when I think about Coca-Cola. And it evokes that memory of childhood, of times where maybe if you even didn't drink it, but you saw those commercials on TV, and so it brings back those memories, and it seems like it's a part of our lives. It's not something that we can really separate from our lives unless we've never watched TV or seen a magazine or whatever. So it's very ingrained, and it brings back memories, but it also feels very much a part of our culture as an American. So when you're thinking about it in that way, those words, those 3 words or 3 phrases, they come up, and they are things that Coca-Cola can refer to when they're wanting to do their branding. And the thing that it really does is it shows the personality of the brand and of the customer. And it's something that evolved over a long period of time. It didn't happen overnight. So Coca-Cola has been around for a long time, like I've said, and throughout the time that it's been around, it started to become a part of the American identity. It started to become a part of the culture of America. And when people see it, they automatically feel that. And so it's something that has taken time. And I wanted to mention this because that's maybe not necessarily how it will happen for you. Maybe right now you're at the beginning of your business and you're coming up with these brand words from the start. Those can change over time. They don't have to be something that you cling to forever. You can let them evolve. And as your brand evolves and as your business evolves, then you can allow those words to grow with it. And you can change them. If something doesn't ring true anymore, or if somebody, like a client or a customer, has the wrong impression of your brand, you can look back and you can see, are these the words? Are these the things that are coming through? So the thing is, you don't have to understand the full brand right now. It is something that can evolve over time, and you can change the words as you go, or you can add words as you go. And Coca-Cola is a great example of how you can do that. And it's just when it starts becoming a part of the culture of your customers and how that grows over time, you can add those things and allow your business to evolve. Now, if you have been in business for a while and you already know things from the past, things that you maybe heard from customers before, and you're like, maybe that's not the perception that I want them to have of me or to have of my business, you can take those words away. So there's something that you're hearing, a word that you're hearing over and over and over again. You can take that word away by eliminating it from the list and replacing it with something else, and then start to build up that word and that experience in your branding. The next example that I want to talk to you about is the store Anthropology. And the reason I bring this up is because they do a really great job with figuring out their branding and figuring it out according to what their customer wants and how they want to feel. And so I read an article, I'll link it in the description below, and it talks really in detail about how this store goes about thinking about their customer avatar or their target audience. And I think it's a really great read. It's fairly lengthy, but if you have time, go ahead and read that. It'll add to what I'm speaking about here. So, in terms of anthropology and the feeling that they want the people to have, there are certain words that in this article appeared over and over and over again. And it got me to thinking about their branding when it comes to visuals in the store, when it comes to visuals that you might see like in their emails or through their website, wherever you might see their visuals, it's coming through very clear and very loud. And so I think that this is a great example. And if you know the brand at all, you'll see where these words are coming into play. Some of the words that kept popping up in the article referenced the personality of their customer, actually. So it was more of thinking about their customer's personality and what they like and what they love. And those words kept reoccurring for me. And I thought, this is brand words. This is what this is. And so some of the words that came up and that kept reoccurring were well read, well traveled, cultured, a person who has a natural curiosity about the world, people who they like exotic travel. And then they also think about places in Europe, and it starts to allude to this place or this person, and you start to have an idea of what their brand is trying to get to. And if you look at their website or you go into their store, you start to see this form. A couple of other words that kept showing up time and time again in this article were confident and vibrant. So these are a couple of words that they could add to their list if this was, somebody trying to come up with a list for anthropology, or it might already be on their list. I don't know because I don't work for anthropology, but these are some of the words that I feel describe the brand, and they kept coming up in the article, and so they would be perfect words to add into their brand words list. These words, used over and over again, will spell out what the brand is, but they'll also define what they want the people who shop the brand to feel. Lastly, I want to talk about my own personal brand. And the reason I want to talk about my brand is because I feel like maybe you could take the method that I used and use it for yourself. So I love coming up with lists and writing things down, but then I also love trying different ways to organize them. And one of those ways that I like to use is by using a mind map. And so you can use, there's different technology out there that you can use, and you can come up with a bunch of ideas or a list of words, but then you can rearrange them so that they fit underneath the different categories or the different words that make sense. And so that way you can actually start to narrow your list down. So I have the main words joy, peace, and creativity. And under those, I have, for instance, joy, I have energetic, playful, freedom, magical, people. Like those are words that come up when I think about my branding. So they kind of emphasize what joy means to me and what I want it to mean for my customers. And so when I'm thinking about, let's say, a picture, for instance, if I want to evoke joy when I'm posting a picture on Instagram, I want it to be energetic, playful. I want it to give a sense of freedom. I want it to kind of make them feel magic when they look at it. And so if you look at my Instagram and you look at the pictures that I have there, you can start to see that that's where my ideas come from. The second word is peace. And so with peace, it is my my sense of friendliness, the stability that I offer to my customers, the trustworthiness that I try to have come across, because I want people to trust me, but I also want them to feel like they're being taken care of. So these are the things that you think of when you're coming up with words. And so you might have this whole long list, but then you can group them together with an idea that you feel kind of encompasses all of the words in the list. So joy has energetic, playful, freedom, magical people. Peace has friendliness, stability, trustworthiness, freedom. Creativity has excitement and freedom. And you can see that some of the words overlap. Freedom is in all of those, but perhaps freedom in joy, or the way that I'm expressing joy and expressing freedom, in that instance, it is different than the way that I would express freedom through the word peace. And so when you start to think about it in that way, you can really start to build this concept in this world that you want your brand to live in. And so that's how you would narrow it down, is you would actually group the words that go together under one word that seems to make the most sense, or that you want to show up the most, or that you feel like this is the guiding principle or the value that I want people to have the most. And then you put the other words underneath it. And you can still refer to those words, but you're not going to use them all the time. Your action step is to go and look at what you think your words will be. Remember that it's something that can develop over time. You don't have to have a list that's so well defined that it's set in stone that you're going to keep these words forever. You can remember that these words might change. You might eliminate some later on, or you might add some. It depends on your business. So just start with a list, I would say, of maybe 10 words or so, and start grouping them in figuring out what words are the ones that you want to take precedence over the other words, and that you want to be the main words that you see or you use all the time. And remember that the words can come from the experience that you want your customers to have, or the goals that they have. And the last thing is to, if you're interested to do more activities like this, you can join the free Brand Personality Challenge, and I'll leave the link in the comment section below. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget to share this video with your friends. Thanks. Bye.